we interviewed every living person we could find who was in the building on October 11th, 1975. It started with Lorne and Dick Ebersol and Rosie Schuster, and then every writer, every actor, the production designer, people from the art department, the costume designer, Billy Preston's band, NBC Pages, like just literally anyone we could find. Paul Schaefer, Howard Shore, who wrote the original theme.
Yes.
And all of their stories didn't add up. Everyone contradicted each other. But what we did was we knew we were going to write the movie based on geography.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, the premiere of Saturday Night Live is thrown off the rails with 90 minutes to airtime in director Jason Reitman's biographical comedy, Saturday Night. Seen through the eyes of a young Lorne Michaels as he juggles equipment failures, actor fights, and producers pushing for reruns, the film follows Lorne and his troupe of trailblazers behind the scenes, leading up to the landmark show's first airing. In addition to Saturday Night, Reitman's other directorial credits include the feature films Thank You for Smoking, Juno, Young Adult, Tully, and Ghostbusters Afterlife, and episodes of the series The Office and Casual. He was nominated for the DGA Award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in Motion Pictures for his 2010 feature Up in the Air. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Reitman spoke with director Guillermo del Toro about filming Saturday Night. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Well, let me start by saying this is a momentous accomplishment. For me, this is a difficult movie in every part of the execution. And for me, there are four things you have to deliver. The first is research, which would have its own weight.
Yeah.
The second is recreation and casting and all that. The third one is the execution, which needs to be very disciplined to create this undisciplined atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the final is tonal and dramatic. So we have 30 minutes. Maybe we get 3 minutes for each.
We're going to do 7.5 minutes each.
Yeah. So the research.
Who's got a clock?
She has a clock.
Yeah. Come on. We have some firsts in here, don't we? Right after I directed Juno, and, I'm going to just pause in 1 second and say, the DGA screening is my favorite screening I do. And it's my favorite screening because it happens director to director.
Yeah.
And the director who says yes to you honors you enormously. And it is an enormous honor when Guillermo del Toro says yes.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much. I'm genuinely touched that you're here having this conversation with me.
I was painting models.
So right after I directed Juno, my agent asked me, what do you want to do next? And I told him, look, I had two dreams when I was a kid. One was to direct movies, and the other was to be a writer for Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
And so he called up Lorne Michaels, and he said, is there any way you'd let this kid just guest write for a week? And Lorne Michaels literally said, yes, the young man can come to space camp. And I went and I did a week there.
Wow.
And that's where it happened. I got to, spend Tuesday writing till 6 a.m, and then I went to the table read, and I found out my sketch got on because they pinned a piece of paper to the wall, like a high school play. And then I got to feel the exhilaration of Saturday Night. And Lorne said, you cannot imagine, you can never believe what you could do in 6 days.
Yeah.
Because you start on Tuesday with nothing on Saturday, you do a 90-minute show. And I wanted to capture that. And it was years later when it finally just kind of hit me, opening night.
Yes.
The 90 minutes to the first time anyone ever said. And I'm not sure if you're this way, but the moment I know the very ending of the movie is the moment I know I need to make it.
Yes.
And this one was so clear, is we are going to find them in that sketch. He will say live from New York Saturday Night. We'll cut to black.
And it's one of the structurally best and most beautiful pieces of symmetry in the movie, that you do the cold opening.
Right.
And that's it.
Not to mention There's a weekend update in the middle of the movie. There's a musical performance a third way.
Yes.
Musical performance 2/3. There's actually a lot of little parallels that are happening.
But very skillfully blended. So you get to experience that, but they are beautifully structured.
Thank you. So Gil and I, my writing partner, Gil Kennan, who's also a DGA member and a director.
And a nice guy.
And a lovely guy. And, like any great partner, makes me more open-minded, makes me funnier, makes me a better storyteller. We interviewed every living person we could find who was in the building on October 11th, 1975. So it started with Lorne and Dick Ebersol and Rosie Schuster, and then every writer, every actor, the production designer, people from the art department, the costume designer, people of Billy Preston's band, NBC Pages, like it's literally anyone we could find. Paul Schaefer, Howard Shore, who wrote the original theme.
Yes.
And all of their stories didn't add up. Everyone contradicted each other. But what we did was we had an interesting structure in that we knew we were going to write the movie based on geography, right? Because the movie was originally intended to be one shot, no stitches.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to rehearse it every single day and shoot it every single day. And we were just going to keep doing that every day until we got it right. And then every smart person in my life said, that's a horrible idea. Yeah. But as a result of planning it that way, the movie is built around geography. He's on 50th Street. He's in the lobby. He's in the elevator. He's on the 8th floor. He's in the hallway. He goes to the control room. And so I've never structured a movie this way where I'm thinking about where he physically has to go. And then we are trying to add 4 or 5 storylines to every room every time he goes somewhere.
And what is amazing is you get this, the opening shot, stitches or not, how long is it?
And no stitches. It's 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And so you get that taste, but you don't get it so many times that you start thinking about it.
Right.
As an audience.
So I think the success of that shot and the success of the movement of the film comes down to a few things. One, we shot the movie twice. We shot the entire movie on phones through prep as they built the sets around us. So we're working with, I've gotten used to, since Up in the Air, bringing in the second team starts 3 months before we begin the movie. Mm-hmm. And we start shooting all stills and videos with them. And this one, it was really important that we did that. And it was my first time working with one of the greatest first ADs alive, Shelley Ziegler, mm-hmm. Who I'm not sure if you guys know Shelley. She's an East Coaster. Shelley did a little show called The Wire, and a bunch of other things. And we worked this choreography together because there's 80 speaking roles in the movie, but then there's also 80 background actors who work every day. And for the first time in my life, we cast every background actor in person.
Yes.
So we brought them in, and I just met them, every extra, interviewed them. I went home with all these Polaroids. I wrote down, all right, this is a camera person, this is a sound person, this is a grip, this is a makeup hair person. And then we put them in boot camp where our crew taught them how to do their jobs. The camera people became camera people. Hair and makeup had to learn how to do hair and makeup because they would do it on camera, right? Mm-hmm. And my favorite moment of this is that one of our camera operators, Rocky, who was operating the camera pad, Matt Moriarty, our actual camera operator, was literally one of the best in the world. One day he goes to Rocky, he goes, all right, Rocky, so we're in the shot. You're going to take the camera pad. You're going to go from stage left to stage right. You're going to set up a shot on Gil. That's going to be a medium shot. This will be the top. That'll be the left and right. And Rocky looks at Matt and goes, I don't know, Matt. It's not a very balanced shot. Some of them tried to join the union at the end. They really got into it.
They wanted a dental and medical.
Yeah, exactly. They just loved it. And my favorite part of making this film, frankly, was it's the most joyful set. It's the hardest film I've ever made in terms of structure and choreography and how much you have to keep in your head. But from a point of joy, everyone was there every moment. Every actor realized that sometimes you're the foreground, sometimes you're the background. And we would construct these just...
It's a landscape.
Yeah, it's a living, breathing thing. And the set was a 2-story... It was the entire 8th and 9th floor, and all the lighting was built in and all the cabling was built into the walls. So, by choreographing like a dance movie, we knew where every actor was going to land. So Eric could light the entire set with all the built-in lighting
Already.
So when we shoot, and for him, it's an insane process because literally every landing spot of every actor has to be pre-lit with practicals that are all built in. We had to rebuild every lamp that was in, stage 8/8.
So you shot on the real stage. On a real stage. Not, was it built or?
No, we built the entire thing.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. No, it's a 360 set. And the funny thing is that because it's not 90 scenes, it's one 90-minute scene.
Yeah.
There's no given reason why you have to stop or end at any point. And because there's no relighting, there's no reason why you have to pause before you go to the next idea.
But there is three things for me. One is you say every person in my life said, don't do it. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But the one person that has to say it is you.
Right.
So what resonated that you went, yes, absolutely.
So why not to do one shot and why to do multiple shots?
Yes.
It's like almost every important thing that's ever happened in my life. It was a conversation with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last script my father read of mine. And it was a hard one for him to say, you should go do, because you got to remember, my dad and Lorne Michaels are Canadian Jews of the same age who both discovered all this talent at the same time.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. So what my dad did in film and Lorne did in TV. So I remember my dad was just like, you're going to make a movie about Lorne? and I literally said to him, I just made you a Ghostbusters movie. You have to give me this one. And then he read it and he loved it. And he said, you have to do this. And sadly, it's the first movie of mine that my father will never see. And that's really hard. But as I was talking to him about, hey, I'm thinking about doing this in one shot, he's just like, why?
Come over here.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally. He said, you are depriving yourself of the great tools that are directing. And you are giving up all of your storytelling control. And I needed to find that balance. He was right. Editing is directing,
Yes,
and he was right about that.
But the way you weave the things in and out, and the way you one of the things that impressed me from the opening shot until the end is the rhythm.
Yeah,
and part of it is obviously dictated by the score.
Yeah,
but the way you score and you have rhythm and melody.
Yeah,
there are moments where you land on a moment and you let them play. Rosie's a tremendous character that allows things to.
Well, Rachel is the best.
Incredible.
Just lights out. I mean,
but rhythm, the editing, it makes it malleable. So yes,
I think the music dictated the film more than any film I've worked on, and the reason is how we did it. So, you guys familiar with John Batiste, who did the score? Yeah, he's like, yeah, I know. He's a man who's touched by God, and he played Billy Preston in the film, and he also did the original score. But for the first time in my career, the first time, frankly, that I know of, he wrote and we recorded the entire score live on set. So we had relatively short days. We'd shoot from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Every day. Because of the choreography, we were able to, in the budget, we were able to hit,
how many days?
30 days. So at 6 p.m., John and his band would get out of costume and get into their street clothes, and they would come back, and our editor, Nathan Orloff, would bring a laptop.
Thank you, Mrs. Orloff.
Would bring, and he's an incredibly swift cutter. He would show rough cuts to John on his laptop, and everyone would stay, by the way. Whole cast, whole crew. No one wanted to leave. We'd start just bringing in food, because everyone wanted the free concert. And John would look at a rough cut and immediately turn to his band and go, I want an A flat. I want you to go to a G and then to a B and then go back to the A flat. And then with the shaker, I want, and he would mouth it out. They would start playing, and then he would jump on something. He could play anything. And the score would just appear.
Everything.
Yeah. And that same thing that we were chasing as a film, which is, what does it feel like when genius comes into the universe, which is, I think, what happened in 1975 when SNL just was born. I would watch John Batiste. He would just birth music. And then the music would go back into the editorial process. And then it feeds the heartbeat of the film. You can kind of sense it. I actually prefer when an audience knows this beforehand, because when you watch the film knowing that the music is live, it kind of changes your sense of it. You realize, oh, this is a kind of a living, breathing thing.
And it kept rhythm in the forefront of your mind every day.
Yeah.
But what is also remarkable, and we'll talk about casting as part of this, the Japanese have 2 words for landscape, so to speak. One is a vista, and it's a specific word, and that is the capturing of the composition and the beauty of the landscape. And the second one is sort of, the word is landscape, and it evokes the smells, the emotional feel, completely 2 different disciplines. And this, what I went in, I said, okay, is it going to be a reproduction or is it going to be live? Right. No pun intended. And it was completely living and happening in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, the director that I'm trying to emulate the most is Michael Ritchie. His first 3 films, Downhill Racer and The Candidate and Smile, this trilogy about winning in America, which is all done live. And they all 3 one throws you into a sport, one throws you into a senatorial race, and the third throws you into a beauty pageant. And on each of them, you're introduced to characters. You have no idea who they are. They're just flying by. They're saying things. You're just thrown into that world. And that's something that I've always loved. And I discussed this with Eric Steelberg, my cinematographer, and Jess Gontra, our production designer, and Danny Glicker, our costume designer. These are the kinds of things we're talking about as we're building this movie, is how can we throw the audience in and make them catch up, make it feel like, all right, for half the movie, you're going to be lost in this world. But slowly you're going to start going, not only the leads, but you're going to go, oh, I kind of remember that guy holding the cue cards. And I know that one camera guy, and I know that one sound person. And by the end, you become a member of the crew yourself.
Yeah, and the arc comes from unexpected places. The guy's finally laying the bricks.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but there's a wisdom to the screenplay and the directing of the actors in pacing them towards that ending.
Yeah.
Things get resolved or break. You know, the impetus of Chevy Chase holding a major chip on his shoulder for the rest of his career, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, is or the bricklayers coming together. Rosie's decision about her last name.
Yeah.
These are very beautiful structural decisions that you guys made.
Thank you. Well, I mean, again, you know how it is. It's like sometimes you're doing the research and it just starts. They just start giving you gift after gift, and you just know exactly where to place them. There's an old iPad game where like you're making burgers and you have to put like the meat and the tomato and the bread.
Played it.
Yeah. And like
I lost.
And sometimes it's like you just everything's going. You're like, I know where the tomatoes going. I know where the sesame's going. And that's what it felt like on this film. This is the first time I've ever used that analogy. Where
I'll take it.
Everything was coming, the bricks, and I was like, oh, I know what we're going to use the bricks for. And Rosie's name is like, yep, I know where we're going with that. And then Milton Berle exposing himself is like, yep, I think I got a place for that. And
tastefully framed.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. It's one of the only 2 visual effects in the film.
Milton would have something to say about that.
Yeah. One visual effect was that we had to adjust some of the clocks because the audience is so aware of the time that if a clock was 2 minutes off, early audiences said, it's not 10:51, it's 10:53. And so we digitally moved the minute hand. And the other one was getting JK's prosthetic to match his skin color. So I'm just guessing there's someone who went to RISD or CalArts.
A technician, yes.
You know.
What are you doing? My son, I'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Later, yeah. But also the casting is, I mean, aside, one of the things that is beautiful is they're alive. They're not impersonating. They're not doing an imitation. Yes.
That was the rule from moment one was this can't be impersonations.
No.
And what we saw when we started auditioning was a lot of people who were doing impersonations, like SNL style impersonations. You know, if it's Dan Aykroyd, it's Dan Aykroyd doing Bassomatic, you know, and not Dan Aykroyd, who is brilliantly funny on the spectrum, in his head thinking, I still have a snowplow in Toronto, so I still have a job waiting for me, also sleeping with every woman in the building. And Dylan O'Brien got that. For Chevy Chase, it was an ego that needed to be humbled. For Gilda, it was this overwhelming empathy. For Garrett, it was someone looking for his identity in the show. And so for a guy like Lamorne Morris, who plays Garrett Morris, our first conversation was about being the only Black actor on The New Girl. Yeah. And what was his identity there? And how did he find his role there? And how did that compare to Garrett? Mm-hmm. And so it's only by touching on their humanity that, the whole place starts to get real. And then oddly becomes way funnier.
But also, I mean, the main players, and when finding Rosie and Dick are fantastic for me, the way they are fleshed out, and they are not only acknowledged as huge vectors on the show, but their humanity and their foibles and their qualities, everything. Cooper Hoffman.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's.
What a nice guy. Also,
there is no good reason that Cooper should be as kind and as settled. And he's a child, he's I think 21 or 22 years old, and he's just brilliant and lovely. But as are all of them. It was a really lovely set. And I think Cooper and Rachel and Gabe are three, obviously, of the greatest actors of their generation. Rachel has started her career with, I don't know another actress whose first three films are as good as Shiva Baby, Bottoms, and Bodies. Yes. I mean, she's just lights out. And Gabe, I think the reason we cast him in this is the same reason Steven cast him in The Fabelmans. Mm-hmm. Gabe has an unlearnable gift that in his eyes, he is a dreamer. And he is motivated. And when you just look into his eyes, this is a person in which nothing will stop him from achieving his dreams. And that's just a gift. I mean, that's not something you can learn.
But he did one of the things I loved on his performance is Lorne Michaels is famously a guy that can go through the trenches and not completely lose the give to despair. Right. So you never get the moment where he has to hide, but his inflections of doubt were so beautiful.
Well, and that's the thing is, Lorne is 80 now, and we're trying to capture Lorne at 29.
Yeah,
and when he was vulnerable, still stoic, but you need to be able to see the vulnerability. And I thought what I was really proud of with Gabe and Rachel was, we wrote them a very tricky romantic role. I find romance in movies is fairly binary. People are either in love or they're divorced. Like that's kind of it. And it was the 1970s. And in the same way that television show was challenging everything, they were challenging the concept of marriage. Mm-hmm. There were two people. They were still married. They were seeing other people. She was seeing castmates. And yet they knew inherently that they made each other great, that they were more brilliant and more funny as a result of their partnership. And that was the kind of key to their partnership. And that's something I really loved and I really wanted to portray. Yes. And I think it only works because of the nuance of their performance.
And the beautiful moment of grabbing each other.
I know, isn't that great? Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. But, there is... what you said, casting every part. I mean, you are raised by your expectations and killed by their players. Basically, that's and everybody in the affiliates were all affiliates. Every single one of them was an affiliate.
Yeah. Look, I've been really lucky in my career. I've been able to work with some of the most talented actors on earth, and they trust me. And I say the same thing to my cast the day before they start shooting, and I've done that for many movies now. I reach out to them and I say, you already know how to do this. That's the most important thing I feel like I can tell them. The reason I cast them is I know they already know how to do this. I tell them not to over-prepare because that's only going to make them more worried. Don't go reach out to the original cast members. It's just going to drive you crazy.
Yes.
You read the role on the page. You already know how to do this.
And that's it.
Have fun.
But and you have another decision that I really admired is you have a movie that has already, it's two things. One is you're making a movie about a show that is successful. Everybody knows is successful.
Yeah.
It's like shooting the crucifixion. You're not rooting for Jesus to escape the Roman soldiers. They're going to get him. Come on, Jesus, go to the left. They're gonna get him. So we know that.
Yeah.
So how to make it live? You have the antagonist of time.
Yes.
But then you have the Dafoe character. Is that a composite?
A little bit. It's a real guy. Dave Tebbutt was a real guy and was the head of talent and did say that to Chevy. But I'm using basically the attitude towards Saturday Night Live from everyone in the building, which was, look, I mean, this is the Woodstock moment for comedy, right? If you think about what Woodstock is for music or what early 70s cinema was for film, this is the moment where young people go, we want a show that represents us. And we are ripping television. We're not waiting anymore. We're ripping television out of the hands of the elders. And when they showed up at 30 Rock, the general attitude from everyone from the stagehands all the way up was, who the hell do you think you are? There's a way that TV is done. And that's why we put Milton Berle in. He's there as a representation of what television has been since vaudeville. And so there are composites like that where Dave Tebbutt is kind of signaling what a lot of people, like what 5 different people were doing to them as a group.
And when you approach this, I mean, I think is an overwhelming exercise in logistics and tone.
Yeah.
Tone, which is so difficult.
Yeah.
If somebody's making a comedy out of all the 80 speaking parts, you're doomed. Mm-hmm. And did you shoot chronologically at all?
We shot chronologically, and we shot on 16 millimeter, and that kind of set the tone right from the beginning. Not only the look that we were achieving in the dailies, but as you know, there's a moment when the film starts turning and you can hear it, and it just kind of affects everyone. There's an electricity to like, oh, we're rolling film now, and the last thing is sound. We had days. Steve Morrow was our production sound mixer. He's a genius, and he's been nominated like the last 4 years. And he had days where he was running 58 microphones simultaneously.
Wow!
Like, to give you an idea of how many that is, it's 58. No, it's he had to bring a second mixing board because there was that many channels. Now I've checked. Steve has 10 fingers. But he's operating 58 faders, and he does it so well in real time that as you're watching and listening, he's building that soundscape, that exact thing you're talking about, that tone, that world, that immersive nature of the film. Part of it is the choreography and figuring that out over months. But the other half of it is Steve Morrow in real time, creating a soundscape where you are feeling each room, feeling the people not only talking right in front of you, but a conversation you just missed, a conversation you're about to catch, a conversation that's coming by in a hallway, and he's giving them all just enough that even as you're watching in real time, you feel like you're there.
One thing, and we haven't talked about this before, one thing that, I mean, obviously, at that moment, things were exploding in comedy all over the world.
Yeah.
National Lampoon in America, the BBC was trying experimental formats and all that. But there's also a thing I'm going to ask you. I don't know the answer.
Okay. That
it reminded me also because it's jam-packed. Everywhere you look, there's something happening.
Yeah.
And it does, the cliche of a studio, of a movie set is always going to be romance on a painted background. Any movie you see, there's going to be romance and somebody pushing out. It could be so easy to give in to, you're doing something not specific, but everything is really detailed in the background. And it reminded me, strangely enough, of the early Mad magazine.
Oh my God!
Of Bill Elder and Harvey Kurtzman, where they would pack a detail on the corner.
Well, as you know, like the people who were drawing Mad Magazine were also drawing National Lampoon. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, when we were doing Ghostbusters, we were studying these artists because Slimer is a complete descendant of that style of animation. This animation that reminds you of like the drunk at the end of the bar that you are terrified is going to make eye contact with you, and I obviously, like you, probably grew up devouring Mad and Cracked and loving all that detail. What's so funny about you bringing up the Romans is that in a classic movie, it's always like the gladiators the Roman soldiers. Saturday Night Live has their own version of that, and that is a llama.
Ah, yes.
So if you ever watch SNL, when they go behind the scenes, there are three things every time: Abraham Lincoln, a showgirl, and a llama. And that is why the movie, you see a llama the first time you get to the stage. And by the time they walk into the control room for the last time, Lorne walks past Abraham Lincoln, showgirl, and llama.
That is right. And why did you have what was the decision behind having the same actor do Jim Henson?
So we wrote Jim Henson for Nicholas Braun because we spent a lot of the time writing the movie imitating Nick Braun doing Jim Henson, saying really nasty things, and that just made us laugh. Originally, Benny Safdie was going to play Andy Kaufman. Benny's a huge Andy Kaufman fan, used to do that kind of stand-up comedy, and Benny looks like Andy, and he was going to do it, and then his movie got greenlit, and when he went off to like direct this movie with The Rock, and as we started talking about, all right, who's going to play him, we were like, well, Nick Braun would be good, and I guess if on Saturday Night Live, someone can play more than one role,
yes,
why can't we do that in this film?
Oh my God! Well, may I say, is a beautiful combination to see this movie. Is your most open and loose in many ways, but the most disciplined, difficult, complicated, and beautiful you've done. So, congratulations! And I think we are with an audience that appreciates how difficult and beautiful it was to deliver that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America.